What if the biggest threat to the UFC's dominant position in the MMA market isn't the PFL Bellator One Championship, isn't even Jake Paul's MVP, isn't another fight promotion at all, but is actually a distribution platform, namely Netflix? Let's get into it. Welcome to another edition of Fight Night Thoughts by Watch the Ops. Before I rush off to enjoy today's fight card, a fight night between Israel Adesanya and Joe Pyfer, I want to continue our discussions of potential disruptors to the UFC, threats to its dominance in the MMA market. We've been discussing the idea of one-off, event-by-event promotions being a potential threat to the UFC. To be clear, there are some big barriers to entry to starting a combat sports promotion. There are three main ones that I can think of. First is a capital problem. Not just the amount of capital you need, but the timing. You need to front load a lot of that capital if you're going to put on a fight card to lock in the talent, your marketing, your venue, and various distribution methods. The second barrier is about talent. You need access to premium talent, attractive talent, and you need that on terms that are economically and strategically favorable to you. Lastly, you need distribution. And really, that's not just about the mechanics of distribution, it's also about trust. You need to be an actor in the space that people will buy in and accept that you're a name in combat sports. So when you think of those three barriers to entry, you realize that not everyone is equipped to launch a competitive MMA promotion to the UFC. It's the reason why there are so few viable alternatives. And yes, this MVP Netflix MMA card is one, but if you notice, Jake Paul and MVP, they have ways to overcome a lot of those barriers to entry. With that said, I don't want to throw away completely the idea that this event by event business model could actually unseat the UFC or at least give it a run for its money. Maybe when we think about those barriers to entry, the real alternative isn't another fight promotion, whether it's MMA or combat sports in general. Maybe it's a distribution streaming platform like Netflix. Think about it. They're clearly making a play for live athletic events and especially combat sports and aggregating them on their platform. Netflix, besides this MMA card, has a slate of combat sports events lined up. This year alone, they have a Tyson Fury fight, a Floyd Money Mayweather Manny Pacquiao rematch. They also have just announced tentatively a blockbuster Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight, the one we've been waiting for years. When you look at Netflix and the moves that it's making as a whole, you can see that they're in position to potentially upset the UFC and other fight promotions because they can already overcome those three barriers to entry. They clearly have a lot of capital. They clearly have access to top talent. Just look at this MVP card and as well as their boxing cards. And they clearly have the means of distribution and the brand trust because they're building their name as a brand in live sports and particularly combat sports. I'm going to go off and watch this fight night, which, by the way, this is a pretty solid card. We've been complaining about the UFC Paramount era, but this is a pretty solid card for a fight night. And on that note, I'm a little surprised about what it says that Izzy has now dropped down to fight nights. With that said, I am expecting, predicting, and hoping that he'll bounce back with a very decisive victory over Joe Pyfer in the fourth or fifth round. Enjoy the fights. If you enjoy watching the ops, our breakdowns of opportunities and operations in professional sports, particularly combat sports, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and stay tuned.